Hey everybody. Hi, it's Graham here again. Friday afternoon, speaking. Nice to see you all. And welcome also to our viewers on YouTube. Great to have you here for this E2 language speaking class, a live class which we run on Zoom. So I'm just looking at the chat box here and having a look at who we've got coming into the call. That's right. Nice to see you. Andrea, Mary. Hi, Mary. Alessandras, Mayur, Neha. Red, Lily Rose. That's a lovely name. I like that. Mayur, Esperance, Alexander, Rajesh. Hi, Prasanna, Anna, and John. Azza. Oh, Caroline. Nice to see you again, Caroline. Rohit, Mania, Arvindu, Kahinde. Hey, Kahinde. Nice to see you. Mint. I imagine your first name is not phone, all right? Ayesha, Krishnam, Maya, Urvashi. I'll see you later on for a tutorial, Urvashi. That'll be fun. Preet and Sarah, last at the bottom. So we've got a few people joining us, which is really nice. So let's start the class, shall we? So what are we going to do today? Let's have a look. Oh, before we do that, I just wanted to remind you of something that some of you may not know about. And of course, you might find interesting if you're watching on YouTube. We do these small group classes, a few of them every week, myself and my colleagues Sasha and Anna at E2 Language. And these small group classes have no more than 5 students and 1 teacher. And we do them in speaking and writing task 2 for IELTS. And you get lots and lots of time to practice and individual feedback and so on. And they're lots of fun too. That's right. So yes, why don't you have a look? Check them out. They could be just what you're looking for. Let's move on. Yes, there was no listening class today. I think it might be Christmas that's just getting in the way here. No, there wasn't a technical issue, Prasanna. All right. That's right. Good afternoon, Monica. Nice to see you. What are we doing today? So we've got speaking overview, of course. We've got some practice for parts 1 and 2. We've got a sample practice. We're going to listen to a native speaker who doesn't do very well to start with. And then some practice. And also, I'm going to get 1 or 2 of you guys on Zoom to come in and answer a question. And we'll see how you do under the stress of talking to hundreds of people. All right. Questions and answers, that happens as we go along. So if you've got a question, please ask it on Zoom. I can't, unfortunately, receive your questions on YouTube. I'm not that technically proficient at the moment. Hi, Lulu. And yeah, well, that's it. Sorry, I was just reading the chat box. This is the interesting thing about these classes. It's like, you've got a big class of people and they're all asking or commenting and so on. So it's actually quite efficient. It's quite fun. So here we are in the World Classroom, E2 Language, and let's get going on our IELTS speaking. All righty. So let's a quick overview for those of you who are new and need to know what the IELTS speaking test is actually about, and to remind some of you old timers. Okay, now we've got how many minutes? It takes maximum of 14 minutes, which is actually goes very quickly. It's pretty short. How many parts? 3 parts of the test. Sounds not very clear, you say, Azza. I wonder why that is. I'm not sure there's very much I can do about it. Let me just check to make sure. Maybe it's your internet connection. Is that any better? Prince, a long time indeed. Good to see you. Hi, Azza. All right. Oh, it's clear. Maybe it's just your internet connection or something, or perhaps it's raining or who knows what. I don't know how it works. And it's a one-on-one with an examiner, okay, unlike PTE. And that means that you are actually communicating with a real human being. Of course, these days, because of the pandemic and everything that's brought to us, sometimes you may do your test on Zoom, all right? And of course, you may also have to wear a mask. And there's a nice little YouTube video we've done with some helpful hints and tips about what to do about wearing a mask and how to overcome the little challenges. Part 1 is just personal questions. So think of this as a bit of a chat. The examiner's asking you questions about yourself, what you do, where you live, your hobbies and sports and weather and all sorts of different personal questions. It's a good chance for you to relax and just to talk about things that you know well. But we're also going to help you in a minute to know how to develop your answers so you give nice full ones as well. Voila, greetings. Part 2, as you all know, is a 2-minute talk. And we'll also look today in the lesson at how you can make sure that you can talk for 2 minutes and also organize your talk so that it really works. We'll look at that in more detail. Part 3 is a kind of discussion where the examiner asks you more questions related to the topic that you talked about in your 2-minute talk. More difficult questions, questions you probably never had to answer before. So we need some strategies there to help us deal with these tricky questions. Timing, there it is, 5, 4, 5 maximum, making the 14 minutes in total. So there you go. There's a bit of a roundup of the IELTS speaking test. The test, of course, is marked. It's marked by the examiner just after you leave the room. She then sits down, she has a look at her band descriptors, we'll look at those in a second, and works out what mark to give you out of 9 for the 4 criteria, which are fluency and, thank you, Pavitra, coherence, lexical, nice to see you, Pavitra, lexical resource and grammatical range, very good, Wala's on the ball there, range and accuracy and pronunciation. Okay, and here are those band descriptors, and the examiner, as I said, gives you a score for each criterion. So you can see there's a 9, that would be the maximum, and most people are looking for around about a 7 to an 8. So make sure that you know what the examiner's looking for when she listens to you, and I'll show you a bit later on some simplified band descriptors that you can do. Do scent matter? Do you mean accent, Mansi? I don't think you're talking about perfume here, right? Okay, Mansi says, do scent matter? Accent doesn't matter, no. As long as it doesn't make it difficult to understand what you're saying. All right, so don't worry about your accent at all, but do make sure that you can pronounce the sounds of English clearly. That's the first thing to make sure that you can do. Cool. And you can use any scent you like, Prince. Well, I should keep the scent to a minimum, all right? It's a small room. You don't want anything to overpower the examiner, do you? All right, IELTS speaking, part 1. Let's have a look. Now, before you start your test, the examiner is going to ask you some simple questions, right? Just to check to make sure that you are the right person for that time slot and that she's not interviewing somebody who should be interviewed by another examiner, for example. And just answer these questions, just briefly, smile. All right, don't forget to smile. I know if you're wearing a mask, you just smile with your eyes, practice it, okay? Full name, please. All right, where are you from? She may not ask you that because you can see in your passport, and your ID, which is usually a passport, but it could be a national ID card. Not assessed. Get it over and done with. Let's move on to the real test, which is part 1, when the examiner asks you some questions about yourself. She has a maximum of 12 questions to ask you on 3 different topics. The first topic is always about what you do. Do you work, or are you a student, or something about where you live? The other 2 sets of questions could be on a wide range of topics, but you can compare. You can prepare yourself, you can prepare yourself by looking at the questions in our topic toolkits in the vocabulary section of our course. 20 different topic areas with questions for parts 1, 2, and 3 that you can use to practice. Okay. They're simple and they're personal. So you can talk very personally about yourself, your mum, your dad, your boyfriend, your dog, your cat, your fish, or whatever. Kind of questions you might get. Do you live in a big city or a small town? Did you play sport as a child? Those kind of questions. So you can see they're pretty straightforward. And we'll talk about strategies for answering them fully in a minute. Oh, no, we won't. We'll talk about them right now. Methods. Here we go. So why do we want to have some methods and techniques? Because you want to make sure that you give not only full answers, but you use a good range of vocabulary and grammar. All right. Because right from the beginning, you want to show the examiner how good your English is. So don't give just short little answers, extend them. Now, the examiner may say thank you and interrupt you because she needs to ask you other questions. She wants to hear how you can talk about different topics. So don't worry if she interrupts you. It's not a comment on your language, how well you're doing. That's okay. It's quite normal. All right. Sounds a bit rude sometimes, but it's okay. Normal. So let's have a look at these methods. Whoa. Anwar's got an exam on the 23rd of December. That's next week, coming up. Let's have a look at these methods. Can anybody remember the methods? Some of you have been in that. Yeah, good luck indeed. Alexandra says. We got Sarah's on the 22nd. Good luck, Sarah. Okay, so reasons, details. Thank you. Keep to this topic here. Reasons, details. PPF is for part 2. Compare, past to present. Very good. Contrast, compare. What about present to future? Here they go. All right, well done. Well done, class. You got most of them right. So when you're answering your questions in part 1, just say what you think. All right, then you might want to say a bit more and give some details. You might want to say why and give a reason, number 6. You might want to say some contrast. You might give a contrast. Well, now actually, I do play sport quite a lot, but when I was younger, I didn't like it. I used to sit at home and do a lot of reading. Contrast. Past to present. I just did past to present then as well. And present to future. Well, at the moment, I'm living in Mumbai, but actually next week I'm moving, and we're moving to Hyderabad for work. Okay, that kind of thing. Present to future. All righty. So you can see these will give you the opportunity to answer your questions in a variety of different ways, and also to showcase, right? Show off your language, your vocabulary, and of course the grammar that you will need to express your ideas. All right. Yes, they are good methods. I think they really work. Thank you, Maya. Okay, let's do some practice. Here we go. So what we're going to get you to do today, and this applies to you guys on YouTube as well, you can use your phone and record yourself. And you go, why do I want to do that? Well, because you're going to listen to yourself afterwards and think, how am I doing? So you might want to take screenshots of the questions as well, so you can practice them again if you didn't do very well. Okay. So the idea of recording yourself is to listen to yourself and to get a good idea of what you're doing well and what you need to do better. Maybe your grammar, your vocabulary, whatever it is. Okay, so get that phone ready. Little red button. Here's Alex, our examiner, is all ready. Now we're giving you 20 seconds to speak. In the test, there is no time limit, but we have to give a time limit so we know when to move on to the next one. 20 seconds is not very long, so don't worry if you don't manage to give long answers, but you can practice them afterwards. Remember the methods to extend your answers. See if you can use 2 or maybe 3 of these for each, and see with the whole thing, we've got 5 or 6 questions, see if you can manage to use all of them at least once. There's your challenge for today. Are you ready? Got your phone ready? Okay, here we go.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student? What do you do or what do you study? How long have you been doing this?
And we've got some more. Here we go. Try to use all the methods. Try to use the ones you haven't used yet.
Let's talk about your neighbours. How well do you know the people who live next door to you? How often do you speak to them? Let's move on to talk about swimming. Did you learn to swim as a child?
How did it go? Did you manage to use all of those methods? Did it get better as you went on? What do you think? You tried. Good. Okay. Trying is the first thing you do. Well, I said it got better. It was good. Okay. Yes. You done well. Did my best, Rajesh. What does that mean? Were you happy? Or do you think you need to do some more practice? All right. Good. Yes, Nisheda says, Marian, good. So I'm getting some good feedback here, YouTube people. I hope you did well as well. All right. So you can see, try but not good, Kriti. Okay. Well, you can do it again, right? Do it again until you are happy. All right. You think Esperance needs a lot of practice, improving bit by bit. I see that's all we can do, right? Just get better, little by little. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. Oh, voila, it was perfect. I'm impressed. Good. So you can see how this little practice here can really help you. Just to remember, just to remind you, on your topic toolkits, don't forget you've got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of questions that you can use to practice. Okay, so that's part one. Now, by the end of part one, you're warmed up, you're feeling relaxed, your language is working, your lips and your tongues are moving well, and you've activated your vocabulary, and you're ready for part two. But before we do, let's get some of you talking. Okay, so put up your hand. So that's in your participants. All right, put up your hand. And we've got Mansi first. And Mansi's I'm going to allow you to talk there, Mansi. Okay, you're unmuted. Okay, Mansi.
Hello, sir. Can you listen to me?
I can hear you very well, thanks, Mansi. Yeah. So here we go. Do you work or are you a student, Mansi?
Well, I used to work in one of the non-profit organization. However, right now I am on a maternity leave and I'm looking after my newborn baby. Anyways, I'm still planning to go back to school in just a couple of months. That's why I'm just staying at home and preparing for my language test, and I'm looking forward to pass this test and get good marks, and hopefully I'll be able to go.
Thank you. Well, that was a nice long answer. All right. So remember, she actually talked about the past, Mansi did, and then present, what's happening now, and then she talks about the future, looking forward to becoming a student as well. That was a really nice full answer, a great one to start with. Some good sentences, some complex structures. Well done, Mansi. Thank you very much. Thanks for kicking us off. That's great.
Thank you so much.
All right. So Sarah. You are unmuted, Sarah. So, Sarah, hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. We can hear you clearly. That's great. So, Sarah, do you work or are you a student?
Currently, I'm working. I used to study in a city near Singapore here about 8 years ago. After I finished my study, I started to work as a teacher. I've been teaching for the past 7 years now. Recently, I've been promoted to pastoral care coordinator, where I'm responsible to provide the mental health support and counseling to the students who need them the most.
Thank you. I'm responsible for will be good.
Responsible for.
But the rest of it, right? Well, that was really good. We got sort of the history of your last 8 years of your life. That was very good and very clear, easy to follow. I liked your coherence. Coherence means it's easy to follow what you said. So you used some good language to link your ideas together. Great, Sarah. That was good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Lalinda. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Hey,
Hi,
Lalinda, so are you working or do you study?
Well, I'm currently working as a software engineer in a leading company called ADL.
How long have you been working there?
So I completed my studies in 2016. So I joined this company in 2017, I guess. So I have been working there for 3 years now. It's a very good company, so I have enjoyed a lot of my time there.
Thank you. See if you get a bit of variety. You use the word so twice at least, maybe 3 times. See if you can think of other ways of linking your ideas together. But otherwise, it was very clear and very easy to understand. And don't you think, everybody, his pronunciation was great, wasn't it? Very clear and easy to understand. Some good intonation, good sentence stress. Great. Thanks very much, Linda. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, we've got 3 more. Thank you. Okay. Right. Mayur. Oh, sorry. I'll get you in a minute, Mayur. I've just clicked on Andrea. I'll come to you in a second. Andrea, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
All good, all good.
That's good. That's good. So let's talk about the people who live next door to you. How well do you know the people who live next to you?
Well, actually, I don't know them really good because I think that the times are changed compared to the past. I rarely speak with them, and so I don't have a great bond with them.
Thank you. So you rarely speak to them. You could actually have said why you don't speak to them. Not now, but remember, it works very well if you give your opinion and then give some more details and say why. So I rarely speak to them, because I leave work really early in the morning and get back late at night, and we just don't bump into one another, that kind of thing.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Very well, not very good. Okay. I don't know them very well. Thank you, Andrea. But otherwise, you're easy to understand and easy to follow. So thanks for coming on. Now, Mayur, here we go. Hi, Mayur.
Yeah, hi, Graham. How are you?
Hey, I'm very good. Excellent. How often do you speak to the people who you live next door to or near to?
Well, I'm a very social animal and I happen to live in a cooperative society. So it's day in and day out, we spend time together. I have a very good group of colleagues who are professionally attached to me also. So we gel around very well and we try to go for treks every weekend.
Thank you. All right. So you're a social animal. I like that. Nice idiom. And it worked very well. I wasn't sure about the expression we gel around. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't gel around. I mean, it sounds, when you say you gel, it means you get on really well. So I really gel well with my colleagues, but just check that one out. But it didn't matter because we could understand what you said.
Overall, how was it?
Sorry?
Overall, how was it, Graham?
We gel with someone. We gel, which means we hit it off. That's another good expression. We hit it off. We got on very well together. Great.
Okay.
But Mayo, otherwise, great. Keep on going. I like the way you extend it. As what we've heard so far, everybody has extended their answer really well. And that's basically all you need to do in part 1 is to extend your answers. Thank you. One more to go.
Thank you, Graham.
Okay. So, and last one, Rajesh Ramamurthy. Hi, Rajesh. You're unmuted. Hi.
Yeah, is it audible?
Yeah. Very audible. That's
Hi,
it.
nice to meet you.
You too. Did you learn to swim as a child?
To be frank, I'm not. I haven't grown up in the position in my childhood. It was very, very small city, and we didn't have such amenities and facilities to participate in such kind of activities. So it's quite difficult when I wasn't young. But now I've been learning swimming because I'm grown up now. I can see where I can go, and I've been practicing it since 2015.
Thank you. All right. Amenities. So pronunciation there, some of you might have heard a word you didn't know. Amenities, you said, Rajesh, you read amenities. So stress on that. Amenities. I've been learning swimming. I've been learning to swim. Learning to swim. But that was good. I like the way you talked about it. You know, you never learned to swim because of where you lived. So you gave a good reason why. And then you came to the present time and you actually do know how to swim and so on. So good development.
Thanks for your input.
All right, thank you very much.
Second day, and this is my second day. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Rajesh. That's very kind of you. Thanks, man. All righty. So I'm afraid, as always, there's lots and lots of people with their hands up. It's a big class. We can't manage to do everybody, and we of course have got time ticking. So we're going to go on to part 2. So if you didn't get to do it, you've got the questions. So you can practice again at home and listen to yourself. Or if you've got a speaking partner, that's a really good idea. Speaking partner who can ask you the questions and give you some feedback, perhaps. Let's have a look at topic talk for part 2. 3 to 4 minutes, the total of part 2. You've got to talk for 2 minutes. So most of you know what to do, but just in case, you're given a task card. I'll show it to you in a minute. The examiner says, now, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. And the examiner gives you the task card and paper and pen or pencil for making notes. So you get a minute to make notes. You can make notes if you want. You don't have to. Nobody looks at them. Right? Nobody corrects your spelling or says, why didn't you talk about this? You made a note. So don't worry about that. If you don't want to make notes, that's fine. You could just sit there and talk to yourself. You get 2 minutes to speak. And then at the end, the examiner asks you a short question and you give a very short answer. Yes, you can write on the paper that's given. Yeah, absolutely. Good. So this is the kind of sort of task card. It's bigger than this, of course, but so this is the kind of thing that you might have to talk about. All right. A time when you had to be polite. All right. And you get 4 prompts here. Now, these are to help you to get ideas about what to say. You don't have to use them all. You don't have to talk about all of them either, but you need to just talk on the topic of being polite. All right. And there are 2 basic ways, different ways of doing that. To help you speak for 2 minutes, you can either use our PPF method, present, past, and future, when you might tell 3 separate stories. Oh, I remember when I was a kid, probably about 5, I always remember my granny was telling me all the time, you've got to be polite. All right. And then we had a visitor and I had to be polite, and you tell what happened there. And then, you know, so, well, today, actually, in my job these days, I actually, because I'm a receptionist at a hotel, I have to be polite all the time. I'm never allowed to be rude. So there's 2 stories you could tell. And you might think of another one in the future, that kind of thing. All right. And, or you could use the traditional method. You start by saying, okay, well, now I'd like to tell you about a time a while ago when I was forced to be polite. All right. So first of all, let me tell you where I was. And you say that, and then you work your way down the 4 prompts. If you run out of things to say and the examiner has not yet said, thank you, which is the sign that you've finished, and that's 2 minutes and you have to stop. Then what you can do is you can look down at the card, which is on the table in front of you, and you can say, now, what else could I say? Oh, let me tell you, I just remembered. Let me tell you about how I felt. Something else I felt at the time. I was really frustrated. So you go back to one of the prompts, remind yourself, give yourself a little bit of time to think, keep speaking. Don't stop. Keep speaking until the examiner says, thank you. All right. Pretty simple, huh? So yeah, have a go with both of them. Choose which one you want to do today, because of course, as you've already guessed, we're going to do some practice and you can record yourself. But before we do, remember I mentioned at the beginning, we've got this native speaker and we asked him to come along and have a go at part 2. All right. All right. Yes, Mansi, is no problem if you talk too much. Mansi's just put in the chat box for you on YouTube. I notice I talk too much that I never reach the future story. No problem. That's okay. As long as you speak for 2 minutes and you make sense and you use some good language and grammar, vocabulary, you'll be all right. All right, so I'm just reading the chat box here. Oh, Jahan. Well, interesting. Jahan has to be polite because he's a teacher. Otherwise, they throw things at me. Oh, no, they do things that are really... Anyway, that sounds good, Jahan. You can talk about that. Let's hear this native speaker talking. So this is your speaker and here's our examiner. So what we're going to do here is imagine you are listening to this candidate and you're going to answer these 3 questions, little tick box things. So first thing, we need the candidate to get a good mark, 7+, to speak fluently, to use these linking words and words that help to, and we heard lots of them, right, on our little questions for part 1, cohesive features. So these are words and phrases which join together and indicate what we're going to say or refer back to what we've just said, all right? And we'll see some of these a little bit later. Does he develop the topic fully, all right? We want a wide range of vocabulary and some less common words and some idiomatic language, some phrasal verbs and simple words like, you know, what was it we came up with? Social animal, like our candidate earlier on used, some idiomatic language, and a wide range of structures. So different sentence types, basically. All right. All righty. Shall we have a listen? Let's see. Here is his task card. All right. He's had a minute to prepare. He's ready to go. Describe some food from another country that you'd like to try. All righty. Here it is. What do you think? We're going to assess him. You listening? Here we go.
Okay, food I'd like to try. Probably, well, I'd like to try real Korean food. What kind of food is it? It's Korean. It's spicy, there's meat and kimchi. How do I know about it? I don't know. There are a few restaurants around. Why do I want to try it? I think it just looks good. Kind of looks nice. Will I be able to try it? I don't think so. Probably not likely. Yeah. So Korean food.
Is that it? Did he finish? Was that a bit short, perhaps? Yeah. All right. The slide has not moved. Well, it's moving now. All right. Okay. So, did he speak fluently? Not enough. All right. He sounds uninterested, disinterested. No elaboration. Didn't showcase his complex grammar. Very good. Nope. Too short. No linking devices. Very good, Jesslyn. I like that. Any more comments? A bit hesitant. Yeah, exactly. Too dry. Poor coherence. Lack of connectors. All right. Lack of ideas. Right. Looks like he was reading from the card. Yes. No good vocabulary. Short sentences. Short answered. Answered in point form almost. Yeah, that's a good comment. I like. Very much to the point for the questions. Didn't know what he did with the 1 minute given to him to prepare. Well, it's a good question. What are we going to give him? We're going to give him speak fluently? No, we did not. What about use a wide range of vocabulary? Yeah, it was a bit reluctant, wasn't? His voice wasn't very clear either. Yeah, he needs to enunciate more clearly. Absolutely. And wide range of structure, very clearly not. But I tell you what, we actually talked to him and said, look, we need you to do better than this. So we said, sorry, not very good. mate. So we thought, well, he didn't demonstrate a good lot of fluency or range of grammar and vocabulary, even though he's a native speaker. You'd expect him to do better, right? Wouldn't you? So we thought, well, we'll give him another go now that he knows what he's supposed to do, because he didn't prepare for the test. That's really basically what happened. So we're going to give him another go. Now, okay, I think we know what we're going to say to him, all right? All the things that he didn't do, he needs to do, all right? Connectors, fluency, no hesitation, better vocabulary, range, answer the questions more fully, all that kind of thing, all the things you put in the chat box. So let's have a listen to him doing it again. Second chance. Unfortunately, you don't get a second chance in the normal speaking test, but all right. So what do you think this time?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about some food I'd like to try. I should mention that when I was a child, I was a really fussy eater. Mum had to force me or bribe me to eat things like vegetables and fish. And I remember really hating fruit. It must have been so frustrating for my family in hindsight. When I first travelled overseas, I'd never even tried sushi or even curry. I had such boring taste, really. But slowly I started branching out, and I got a bit less uptight about my eating habits. And these days, I'd have to say I'm a really adventurous eater, and I'll pretty much try anything. I absolutely love spicy food, and the spicier the better, actually. I'm lucky enough to live in an area that's really multicultural, and in terms of cuisines, the variety is incredible. There's one thing, though, I haven't tried, and that's real Korean food. I've eaten at a couple of restaurants in Melbourne and found the food so unique and so tasty. But my friends tell me that authentic Korean food, which is the kind you really only get in Korea itself, is out of this world. And what I'd really like to do would be to travel to Japan, then Korea, and then China so that I can check out all the local food in those places. Is it possible soon? Probably not. I really can't see it happening in the next year, but it's definitely on my bucket list. Hopefully I'll be able to make it happen in a couple of years.
Wow. Well, that was a bit different, wasn't it? So what do you think? We've got some, yes, tasty bucket list. Yeah, that was nice, wasn't it? Yeah, out of this world. All right. Whoa, Nitin. All right. Okay, great. Okay, so Nitin got his result. Sorry, I'm just going to pause here because it's always nice. Thanks for sharing that, and I'll let Anna and Sarah know. So Nitin got 9 for his listening, 8 for his reading, 7 for his speaking, and 7 for his writing. Pretty good. That's awesome, Nitin. Thanks for sharing that. That's great. Yeah, no, the speaker was much, much better. All right. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, congratulations. All right. It was a beautiful, full answer. I agree. Let's have a look in detail. But are we going to give him, I think we'll give him ticks for all those, wouldn't you say? Yeah. He's a fussy eater in hindsight. I know there's some great vocabulary. We'll have a look at some of that because maybe you can use a bit of it as well, because we're going to get you talking about food. But before we do, let's just have a look at what the examiner is using, or at least these are the public band descriptors. They're almost the same as the examiners. So if we're looking at his fluency and his coherence, coherence is how well does he help us to follow and understand what he's saying? Does he speak fluently with only rare repetition or self-correction? Does he use fully appropriate cohesive features? That means the right ones. And there we go. When I was a child, in hindsight, but slowly. And these days, in terms of, there's one thing though, hopefully. All right. So here we've got some great little expressions he's using to link his ideas together. And he develops his topics fully and appropriately. All right. How about his vocabulary? Does he use vocabulary with full flexibility and precision. Precision means we know exactly what he means. We don't have to work at understanding what he's talking about. All right. Or at an 8. 8's very good as well. Less common idiomatic vocabulary skillfully. Well, there's some of the vocabulary that he uses, and we'll look at some more. So you can see he does pretty well. And let's look at grammatical range and accuracy. All right. Okay. Notice the distinction. All right. Grammatical range and accuracy. Full range of structures, naturally, appropriately. Wide range of structures, a range. So there's the difference between a 7, 8, and 9. I know it's pretty hard for you to listen to yourself and say, well, am I a 7, 8, or 9? But there are other ways in which you can get feedback, and I'll tell you about those soon. But let's have a look at what grammatical range actually means. All right. This was the first 30 seconds. Can you remember the words that he used? All right. We're looking at the grammatical range. Pop them in the chat box. All right. Okay. What do you remember? Mum had, Roshni. Okay. Anyone else? A fussy eater. All right, good. A fussy eater. I can't see fussy eater working there. Mum forced me. Good. Okay. I'm going to tell you. Great. Okay, thank you. Forced me? Yeah, not quite just forced me. Here we go. Let's have a look at the answers. Here we go. I'm going to tell, had to force me, must have been, I'd never. So a range of grammatical structures there, a range of tenses he's using. All right. Hindsight, in hindsight, means if I think back, all right, to what I did then, if I think about it, what I would do now, I would do something different in hindsight. So it's looking back at the past and saying what you would do differently compared to what you actually did in the past. All right. So I remember when I was traveling, I swam across the River Mekong a few times. All right. But in hindsight, I think I'd be a bit more careful these days because actually it was quite dangerous and I was lucky not to drown. In hindsight. Okay. The hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? Let's have a listen then to that first part, first 30 seconds or so.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about some food I'd like to try. I should mention that when I was a child, I was a really fussy eater. Mum had to force me or bribe me to eat things like vegetables and fish. And I remember really hating fruit. It must have been so frustrating for my family in hindsight. When I first travelled overseas, I'd never even tried sushi or even curry. I had such boring taste, really.
All right. Doesn't sound good, does it? But it's quite nice the way in which he just starts off by saying when he was a kid, he hated eating anything apart from 1 or 2 dishes, all right? But obviously he's got more adventurous. So let's listen to the last part again, all right? And you've got to fill in the gap there. Let's do that first and then we'll listen. So what did he say? The last part. What's on his bucket list? Yep, that sounds good there, Sarah. And in the next one, B. Yeah, what is B? So that I would try all the local food? That sounds possible. So I can try, that might be better, yeah. You know, I can taste, yeah, good. What about C? Yeah, try or taste. Passion? Probably not. Is it possible soon? I don't think it happening. No. I can see. I don't see. Possible. That's better. Okay. And the last one, hopefully I'll be make it happen, Sarah? Not so sure. Be able to. That sounds good. Let's have a listen. Here we go.
And what I'd really like to do would be to travel to Japan, then Korea, and then China so that I can check out all the local food in those places. Is it possible soon? Probably not. I really can't see it happening in the next year, but it's definitely on my bucket list. Hopefully I'll be able to make it happen in a couple of years.
All right. So you got some of them, but that B, we didn't get that one at all, did we? I can't see it happening. Yeah, exactly. I can't see it happening. Good. So there's some nice use of verbs there, different tenses. I'd really like. Notice the contraction. Not I would. I'd like. I could check out, can't see, and be able to. And this word bucket list is a very nice little word. There's a great movie actually on, I think it's on Netflix, called Bucket List. A bucket list is a list of things you want to do before you die. All right. And it's a fun movie. You might have it, check it out if you've got access to Netflix. Nice. And watch it with subtitles as well. You can learn a lot of English. Kind of a wish list, have you? That's right. Absolutely right. Good. Why it's could not, cannot. I can't see it happening. All right. What do you mean? You want to say I couldn't see it happening? No, it says I can't see it happening. That's more likely that it's not going to, all right, in the next year. So it's probably not going to happen, all right. Well, I could do it in the next year, possibly, all right, but not possible. Okay, right, it's your time now. Get your turn, rather. Get your recording devices ready, your phones or whatever you're using. Here is Alex, our examiner. She's going to introduce part 2, and you can record it all on your phone. But remember, you've got time to think about what you're going to say first, and you can make notes if you wish. All right. So if you've got pen and paper, that would be handy. All right. All right. Sorry, there's a question there. Right. Oops, sorry. Are we ready? Here we go.
Now I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you speak, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Use a pen and paper for your notes, and here's your topic. I'd like you to talk about some food from another country that you would like to try. All right? Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please? Thank you. Do you usually like trying new food?
So just a very short answer to that. Yes, I do, or no, I don't, is all you need to say. Just a little, it's not assessed, a little bridge question. Moving on to part 3. And at that point, the examiner says, thank you. Can I have the task card back and the paper and pencil? And that concludes your part 2. How did you do? All right. How did it go? Did you talk for 2 minutes? That's the first thing. Not that bad. Not bad. Yes, you did, Monica. Good. So that's the first thing to aim for, is to talk for 2 minutes. Excellent. Everybody did. Super. Now, did you manage to develop your topics nice and fully? It didn't flow like smoothly enough, Udeni says. Okay. It was exciting, Tama said. That's great. Good. So you've got it recorded now. Make sure it's easier now, Marion says. Well, that's great. You must have been practicing, huh? Not smoothly as I'd like to. Can I talk about ice cream? Yes, you can definitely talk about ice cream. Sarah, you know, when they say a food from another country, yeah, of course. You could. I'd like to try Italian gelato. Yeah. Now, it's very flexible. As long as you talk about food from another country, that's all right. Any old food you like. And you can talk about lots of different food too. Okay. Then you got stuck for 5 to 7 seconds, Akshay. What did you say? Did you fill the gap with saying, well, I'm not sure what else I could tell you about this. Let me think. Oh, now I remember this is, right, that kind of thing. Make sure you fill in the gap with language, the language that tells your listener, your examiner, that you are still communicating, you're still speaking. So keep on doing that. Good, Akshay, great, very good. Say your thoughts. Yes, exactly. Say what you're thinking. Speak it out loud. Good, 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 good. PPF worked well, Rajesh. Excellent, well done. Some word repetition, Mansi. Okay, well, have a listen to your recording. What could you have said differently so you didn't repeat words? All right, so you've got the recording. Make sure you've got a screenshot of the task card so that you can do it again if you like. And I tell you what, it's quite a good practice is to talk about it for as long as you can. See if you can do 4 minutes. Record it, listen to it, okay? Don't worry too much if you have a few pauses to think. It helps to activate your vocabulary, to get those words out, just to get talking. Very good. Could I start my talk with I'd like to? Yes, I'd like to, as it says, yeah. So I'd like to tell you about some food from another country, which is actually pretty strange, but I'd really like to try it, and it's a snake. Okay. Yeah, of course you can. All right. Do we get a sample like this with a timer? You get lots and lots of questions you can use. You use your own timer, though. I think that's the best, but nothing quite like this. Can you compare 2 different foods or cuisine? You sure can. Absolutely. Some food from another country, 2 different cuisines. Well, actually, there's 2 different cuisines I want to talk to you about because, I like trying a variety. So yes, you can definitely like it. Sounded good? Good. Cool. Let's move on. Yeah, of course, you're going to listen to your recording, aren't you? You love listening to yourself. Part 3. Okay, so the examiner's asked you a short question, can't remember what it was now, and you say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. And then we move on to part 3. Okay, and the examiner says, so we've been talking about a food that you'd like to try from another country. And I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 more general questions, not personal ones, related to this. Let's consider, first of all, and then the examiner starts asking you difficult questions. Really, well, they might be difficult. Let's have a look. This is what happens in part 3. So the examiner has 3 sets of 3 questions. That's 9 altogether. And she's going to try and ask you 6 of those, plus another 1 or 2 of her own questions, all right, asking you to say more about, explain what you said. Can you tell me more about that? What did you mean by? Can you give me an example? That kind of thing. Because she wants to push you into you talking about something you've never talked about before to see if you've got the language and the grammar, of course, to talk about it. So you can push yourself as well by always thinking about, well, how can I say more? Say why, explain, give examples, tell stories, that kind of thing. Now, you might get a topic and you go, oh, no, I don't know anything about this topic. Don't worry. It's not a test of your general knowledge. It's not an IQ test. It's just a test of your language. Okay. So even if you don't know very much about a topic, it doesn't matter. Use your language to be honest and say, I don't know very much about that, but let me think. Well, I guess, the first thing I'd say, that kind of thing. All right. Now, remember, don't talk personally. Don't talk about your dog or your girlfriend. All right. Good. You can talk about your assumptions. Yeah, assumptions. That's right. Ideas. Yeah. I'm not an expert. Yeah, you can say, well, look, I'm not an expert on ancient buildings, but there's a couple of things I know. Well, the first thing would be whatever, something like that. Okay. Does that make you feel a bit more relaxed about part 3? I hope so. Yes, there's some good language, Prasanna. Let me see. Let me think. Let me try to give you an answer. Perfect. These are the kind of questions you might get. How important is it for children to learn to cook at school? All right. Have you ever been asked that question before? Probably not. Yeah, that's right, Esperance. To be honest, I've never thought about that. Okay, actually, I'm not sure. I'm facing a problem of talking flat. Yeah, you need more up and down, more intonation. Yeah, sentence stress. Yeah. Have a look on our YouTube channel. There are some good videos looking at sentence stress, intonation, word stress, those kind of things. Might help you. No, don't give an example about yourself in part 3, Ethel. No, it mustn't be about yourself. But you can use your own experience and talk about it in a more general way. You could say, well, people in my country rather than I. All right. So just be creative. Methods. Here we go. So once again, we want to extend our answers. We want to show how good our vocabulary is, and we want to demonstrate a variety of different structures, sentences, that kind of thing. Methods, here they are. So first of all, what you do is you answer the question. Explain what you think. Say why you think it, or maybe how it works. Frame your answer. Right? That means saying, well, in my country. So just give a context. All right. That's a difficult question. Well, some people would say, buy yourself some time. We've talked about that. Give examples from your own experience. All right. But don't talk personally. Okay. So you can talk about what happens, what people do in your country, whatever it is. We'll have a look and see if we can come up with some examples in a minute. You can also, buying time is saying, well, wow, that's a tricky question. I'm not sure, really. I've never thought about it. But so I bought 15 seconds and hoped that an idea would come so that I've got something to talk about. So that's buying time, giving yourself time to think of something to say. And it kind of works. Just try it. Actually, it's surprising how well it works. All right. You could also consider 2 views, which means something like, well, last week I read that, but I remember hearing a podcast on that, and I think they said those kind of things. That's kind of framing as well. All right. And it's good because it gives you time to think as well. So it's kind of buying time and framing all at the same time. The third one is very useful. Just practice it so it becomes kind of natural. All right. And there's lots of language in your course to help you do that. But let's do some practice. All right. So here's Alex again. Now she is going to ask you some questions and we're giving you 45 seconds to answer. Now what happens in part 3 is that you don't need to speak for a long, long time. You just answer the question, explain why, how, say why, say because, etc. And then find an example or a story or something to tell. And that's all you need to do. And the examiner will probably interrupt you because she's got more questions she needs to ask you. So don't worry again if you get interrupted. Okay? So explain, frame, buy time, give examples, consider 2 views. See if you can try to use all of those at least once in your answers. Okay, you got your recording thing ready? Let's go. All right.
We've been talking about some food you'd like to try, and I'd like to ask you one or two more questions related to this. Let's talk about family meals. How important is it for families to eat together in your country? Has the food families eat changed much in recent years? In the future, do you think traditions like eating together will continue? Let's talk about food and farming. Are people in your country interested in where their food comes from?
So, how did you go? All right. Let's look at some language that might help you. All right, to answer some of these questions, to buy time, to frame, and everything. Pretty good. That's great. The last question was tough. Yeah, it was a bit tough. That's true. But go back and do it again. See how you go. I think the more you practice this, it's not so that you will be able to answer the same question in the test that you take, because it won't be. You'll never get the same question. But what it does do, it gives you the confidence that you can do it. But most of all, it shows you how you can deal with difficult questions, and you can buy yourself time and so on. Good. So let's look at some useful language. All right, whoops. So the first thing was, how important is it for families to eat together in your country? All right. So your opinion, all right, they're asking for quite clearly. All right. So let's have some useful language. Have a little quick read of that. and I'm going to test you. So this is just a little selection. Clearly, there's lots of other things you could use to start off to give your opinion. All right. Okay, here's your test. What are the words that go in the boxes? Very good. Careful, Monica. It's not that important, okay? Stress, it's not that important. Obviously, hand in hand, that's the simple one. Exactly, good. I think we've got the answers there. Let's move on because time is ticking. A lot of people tend to think that. All right, a lot of people tend to think that. Remember, you can say, I tend to think. That's okay. You can use I to introduce what you're going to say, but don't then talk about your own personal life or what you did as a kid or something like that. All righty. Now, answer the question again. How important is it, right, for families to eat together in your country? So now you're going to do it again. Now, see if you can use some of this useful language. You've already practiced it once, so you've got some ideas. Okay, you ready? So record yourself. Answer the question again. Wow. Did you manage to talk for all that time? 45 seconds. Seems a long time, doesn't it? When you're just sitting. You did. Excellent. Did it get better? Did you see some improvement? Because that's what we're looking for, isn't it? How can we get better? How can we hear that we're getting better? Way better, Nancy says. That's great. Because it gives you confidence, right? It's really important to practice. As someone said, practice makes perfect or something like that. 2 thumbs up from Zara. Awesome. Next. Here we go. Here's another one. Let's have a look at this useful language just for briefly. This one, how important is for children to learn to cook at school? Asking your opinion again. Just have a look at the language. All right. Oh no, what we're going to do, you're going to do it. All right, sorry. Here we go. Let's go back. Right. So let's answer this one again. Sorry. Are you ready? So how important is it for children to learn to cook at school? How did that go? Better, huh? I'm sure it was. Did anybody do a lot better? Did you manage to use some of these expressions? All right, 2. Good, Zara did. That's great. Hey, look, we're coming to the end of the class, of course. I'm sorry we've gone over time. There's always a lot to talk about. Well done, Lulu. That was better. Great. Do we have the word cookery skills? The word cookery skills. cookery skills, cooking skills. I think cooking skills would be better than cookery skills. Yeah. Thank you, Rosanna. All right. Now, this one, sometimes you're asked to talk about what changes. So different kind of language. So let's have a look at the language to talk about change. Just a little time to read and I'll test it and we can try it out. And I like this last one. In the past, say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was a kid, all right? Whereas nowadays, these days, okay? So here is the language, all right? There have been enormous culinary skills. Culinary skills, I like that, Krishna. Massive, absolutely right. I guess to some extent. It means a bit, not a lot, but to some extent. In terms of, yeah, right. Whereas years ago, whereas in the past, no? Nowadays, one word, nowadays. Okay, all righty. So there's some little bits of language you can try. Let's answer the question again. Has the food that families eat changed much in recent years in your country? Give it a go. All right, getting even better. Are you really impressed with how well you're doing? Let's do one more just to make sure that you really are getting better. Has the way we prepare and eat food changed much in recent years, do you think? Okay, where you go. Right, well, thank you all, guys, that you're on YouTube and also on Zoom for staying in the class after the bell went. We haven't got time, I'm afraid, to get anybody on doing some answering of questions. All right. Oh, that's an interesting question, Miss Sarah. She got 8 in the mock test. All right. How likely am I to get the same mark in my real test? The questions may be more challenging. I'm not sure it's the questions really, because as we've seen today, and it's a good question, Sarah, if you've got the language to, for example, give yourself some time to think, if you're willing to be honest and say what's going on, this is all good English. It's good communication. All right. So yes, the questions may be more challenging, but I hope that you will be prepared to ask, to meet even the most challenging questions by being honest and saying what you think. All righty. Thank you very much. So have a think about how you did, what you found difficult, what you need to work on, and how you're going to do it. Lots of practices. There's some 1 or 2 things to show you. This is in the E2 language course. This is our simplified band descriptors. All right. So use that to assess your work. And more practice. Don't forget small group classes, speaking and writing. Review the live classes. If you miss them, they're recorded, ready 24 hours after the class. Yes, good luck, Carolyn, indeed. Yeah, and anybody else who's got a test. Lots of tests coming up soon, so good luck, everybody. Don't forget to use the study materials, all right? And don't forget, have a look in your course at the vocabulary topic toolkits. You can find lots of questions on food, farming and food. There's a topic toolkit on that. You can send your speaking in for feedback as well as your writing, all right? And you can book a tutorial if you need to, 45 minutes, one-on-one with someone like myself, Sasha, Anna, Marie-Claire, many of the teachers in E2 language, so we can help you work on 2 of the skills you need help with. All right. If you want to do a speaking mock test, which is what Sarah was talking about, you can buy them there. It's on Zoom, full feedback, recording of the test, feedback, indicative band score, and lots of ideas on how you can improve your speaking. All right. So that's basically it. We did it. Well done, everybody. And you ask questions. Yeah, happy weekend. Everything will be all right. Yeah, good. Thanks, everyone. Well, thank you for coming. And thank you guys on YouTube. I hope, you'll come and join us on E2 Language. Just get onto e2language.com, see what we've got available, sign up, try it out. Might be just what you're looking for. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much. And I'll see you again very soon. All right. Goodbye now. Oh, Abby, just email E2 Language, all right, if you recently upgraded for your topic toolkit. Yeah, your book.